what's up, I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time PulseCon 2022 happened and they revealed a whole bunch of Transformers toys. They also had Thew for a pre-show, which was pretty exciting, and then also Magic the Gathering had a crossover, and I don't really care about Magic the Gathering, but that exists if you guys want it. But we're going to focus on the actual Transformers toy reveals, starting off with the Shattered Glass line. There's also the Transformers Legacy second part, which is titled Evolution, which doesn't really change much. It's more like the Transformers just have weaponized gimmicks that have been seen previously, but I'm glad that it's not a complete change like Combined Wars to Titans Returns. It's still kind of consistent with what Legacy is doing, so I don't really mind necessarily. It just kind of seems like a random title to kind of throw in. But anyways, let's go ahead and start off with the Shattered Glass figure. This is the Soundwave. Now, we've been hearing about this, and we were curious if it was going to be a Siege or an Earthrise repaint, especially considering that when we saw the artwork, we could see that Laserbeak was the Siege design, but no, it is the Netflix version of Soundwave, so I'm very happy about that, but it's also concerning because that version of the figure seems to yellow, so with this being white plastic, I'm not sure how long it's gonna last, but here it is, and I will say that I do kind of feel like there should be more colors going on. It's got a nice blue stripe at the bottom there, but nothing really above it. It's just plain white, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but otherwise, you know, it's a white version of Soundwave. It's a good guy version of him, and I think that's pretty cool. You know, nothing really to complain about. With the robot mode, I think it looks better because the blue seems to spread out a little bit more. I also love the cassettes here. I like how Ravage is colored. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the design itself because it's a very chunky version of Ravage, but the color scheme really works, and then the Laserbeak I really like. I think the black, red, and then the screen really complement it. And Soundwave has the bandana piece, so that's pretty cool. So I do want it. I'm just not sure about how the quality of the plastic is going to last with the coloring. Anyways, moving right along, we also have another figure which is very similar to Soundwave. This is Soundblaster. Now, I do find it funny that they decided to flip up the feet instead of having the toes pointed up. So technically it is mistransformed, but, you know, some of these images, it's kind of funny that they tried to correct certain things by mistransforming stuff. You will certainly notice that if you look through some of the breakdown breakdown photos, I should say, because the backpack is supposed to fold down on the sides, but I guess Hasbro realized nobody wants that, so they keep folding it up, so it's kind of funny. But anyways, yes, this is a repaint of the Soundwave, and a cool thing about this is it finally comes with Buzzsaw. Now, I'm still waiting for an appropriate cassette version of the Buzzsaw, but at the very least we got this, so that's pretty awesome that they're finally acknowledging the character. And I do like the color scheme. The black is very nice. The transparent purple on the chest is very lovely. I kind of wish that they did that for the original Siege toy. But regardless, yes, it's a nice repaint because, you know, I really like that Soundwave to begin with. So, taking a look at the robot mode, again, no complaints there. I think it's fantastic. The black, purple, yellow, yeah, it's just nice. It's a really good figure to begin with. I mean, I love that Core Class Soundwave, so I'm definitely interested in this. Moving right along, we finally get a look at the Dinobots coming out for the Legacy Core Class line. So, these are going to be tiny versions, almost like little desk toys, for the Studio Series 86 Dinobots, so I think that's kind of nice. However, you could definitely tell that some are restricted just by the size and something else that they're doing with the gimmick, and we'll talk about that more with the Sludge figure, but yeah, let's take a look at Slug first. I think Slug is fine. He's got some open cavities on the side there, but considering, again, it is a Core Class figure, it's not going to look 100% perfect. I think for what they're doing and for the size, I think it's alright. And then we take a look at the robot mode, and it's a kind of similar thing. His design kind of reminds me of third-party, I think it was the Predacons line, I can't remember, but he kind of reminds me of that, and the head is definitely sunken in there. You could definitely see that the dino head sticks up a little too high, but again, Core Class, you're restricted, so I think for what it's worth, they did a pretty fair job. Now, when it comes to Sludge, not so much. You can see that it's definitely chunkier at the bottom of the torso, and then the legs are just, oh my god, what has he been eating? He's got hips for days. The head, it looks kind of funny there because it looks too small to me. Now, maybe that's because I just got the Studio Series 86 version of Sludge, but it looks too sunken in. Now, maybe that's a mistake in the transformation. Maybe it's supposed to extend, but I'm not seeing how exactly. But, yeah, just a very chunky looking bot. And then taking a look at the robot mode, this is where things kind of fall apart for me, because you notice these different swooping designs on the arm that really feel like it shouldn't be there, and then you can see the dino legs sticking off to the side. It's just not really the best design. It kind of feels like it's not really meant to be Sludge, but then they just kind of made it into Sludge. And the reason why it looks so off is because they're actually doing a core class version of Volcanicus that's supposed to come with 6 Dinobots, not just 5. So people are speculating whether it's going to be Slash or Scorn that's going to have some sort of G1 redesign. We'll just have to wait and see, but I think that's pretty interesting that they decided to do a core class version of Volcanicus. They didn't really have to. In fact, I feel like if they just did the Dinobots, that'd be perfectly fine. But it's kind of a neat idea, and I'm curious to see if they plan to do other combiners in the core class line. Personally, I would love to see a core class version of Devastator. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think a core class version of Predaking would be nice, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. As far as right now is concerned, yeah, the Sludge, not really the best, but considering the gimmick, I have to wait and see if I really want it, because I think Volcanicus is an interesting idea. Alright, so moving right along, we also have Breakdown. This is the last one of the Stunticons, and yes, he is going to move into the wave with the Legacy Evolution, even though Evolution will not be on the title of the packaging, just so that he can fit in with the other Stunticons in the line. And I'm perfectly fine with it. I know he was revealed recently, so there's not really too much to talk about. I know some people don't like the car mode. I think the car mode's fine. I like the colors of it. I don't like the fact that you have to detach the spoiler. I feel like they could have done something like how they did with Wheeljack and it would have been fine. But that's just an unfortunate thing. And for the robot mode, you can see that the spoiler is like this boomerang thing, but you can combine it with the gun to make this little axe thing, and even then that doesn't really work. It's just, I don't like it. But as far as the robot is concerned itself, you could definitely see where Wild Rider comes into play, and you can see that it's a either rework or repaint of that. And I get why some people are upset by that, but to me, he just needs to be another Stunticon that fills that void, and I'm totally fine with it. I feel like if Breakdown came out first, nobody would really complain about that. Like, yeah, some people might think, oh, well, the backpack should be flipped up, but no one would really hesitate at that too much. But because we have already seen Wild Rider, yeah, it just seems kind of weird that, you know, because some of the other ones are a little more unique, and then this one just kind of plays off another figure. But I don't necessarily mind. It's fine for me. It's just another figure that I need to complete the Menasor. I feel like I said Devastator. I meant to say Menasor if I did. Alright, so this is the exciting part. People were tagging me about this online. And so Needlenose is finally happening. We heard about it previously. And this is a big deal for me because I did a hashtag campaign for We Want Needlenose. And the reason why I did that is because throughout 2 fan votes, the early one was Siege, and I think one with Legacy, I can't remember exactly, Needlenose was pinned against other Transformers, and he lost both fan votes. And so Hasbro thought, okay, well, people aren't interested in Needlenose, he lost 2 rounds, so we don't need to do that. So that's why I did the campaign. Now, we officially have Needlenose, and I feel like I might have influenced that. Now, I'm not confirming that, I'm not saying 100%, but I don't know, Needlenose happened, so there's that. But I'm pretty excited that that happened, and as far as the figure is concerned, it's not necessarily my favorite, but I'm just so happy that they decided to do it. You can see the guns can plug onto the side of the wings, which he's already got a chunky underneath for the jet mode, so it just looks kind of off. You can apparently combine that and plug that on the back of the jet if you want, so that's nice. And yeah, I'm glad that he does come with both of the Targetmasters. Taking a look at the robot mode, you can see that they transform into weapons in itself, but they do have the robot mode, of course, and you can slap them on top of each other, just like the original toy. I am very curious to see if they'll do other dual mode Targetmasters. I want to see Quick Mix down the road, but I think this is a nice inclusion. I think the robot mode looks pretty good. Yeah, he's got the cockpit sticking down there, which looks kind of off, but I think other than that, I think most of the toy is, you know, in general, just fine. And he's got the color scheme. I mean, he looks right, so I'm very happy about that. I'm curious to see what else they'll do in the future, and I'll definitely pin this against Point Blank whenever I can get him, because, you know, he's got the Targetmasters as well. I want to see this line continue with that. I'd also like to see minicons, but apparently they don't really seem interested in that. Anyways, moving right along, we also have this Scraphook. So, the Junkions are going to be made, and they're going to have different alt modes that you can kind of reconfigure, because it seems like you'll be able to take them apart and you'll be able to combine some of the alt mode bits, because if you see in the poster, you could also see that on the front of this, there's two bike halves. And if you look at I think it's Mark Clonis on Instagram, he's been posting about some of the behind the scenes, and you can kind of see this more of a side profile of the Scraphook, and you can definitely see that the bike halves are attached to the front of him. But not only that, you can see a bike with a sidecar, and in that image itself, you can get a better look, and the sidecar is actually half of the front of this truck. So it seems like the entire gimmick, and the reason why this has that weaponizer gimmick, is because you can take apart and combine them in different configurations, which is funny because I believe with the original Junkions, they had this kind of idea where if they fall apart, they could put themselves back together. So you can mix and match different Junkions and have a totally new character if you want to. So if you bought multiple scrap heaps and then you buy multiple of other characters, you can make so many different Junkions out of that. I would love to combine these. I think that this is probably much better than the modulators. I think this is better than the fossilizers because the gimmick actually makes sense here, and I like it. Now, speaking for the truck mode, I know a lot of people thought of the Battle Trap from the Rise of the Beast. I'm not sure if this is going to be some sort of pre-tool to that, or maybe carry some of the idea for the transformation, but I love this. I love the tow truck alt mode. I love the armored up look. I love the pipes on the side. It looks like something from Mad Max, and you know, I've got the Wreck-Gar. I'm in love with it, so he needs to command some other Junkions. I need to get the other Junkion from Studio Series 86, but I'm happy that this guy's coming out. And I'm going to be honest with you, they can repaint this as many times as they want, and I am not going to complain. Taking a look at the robot mode, it's savage looking. You can see the typical shield weapon for the wheel, but you can see the pipes on top. Take a look at the feet. The torso is nice, big and blocky. The colors just kind of have this sort of mood and tone to it that's kind of depressing, but, you know, like that Mad Max kind of style. It's just really nice to look at, and I'm very happy about that. Also, I forgot to point out that if you look at some of the images for the Needlenose, you'll notice that the hips are upside down. I don't know if anyone saw that, but I thought it was kind of funny. And I think this is the last deluxe class for this wave. This is the Armada Hot Shot. Now, funny enough, with Siege, one of the first Selects figures was Hot Shot, but that was more for the Cybertron series. This is for Armada, and I'm very happy about that because I wanted to see a new version, and I never got the Universe Classics toy. I never got the original Hot Shot, so this is going to be perfect. He doesn't come with Jolt, but he does have a minicon port on the back, so that's very nice. Pretty awesome yellow car. I like the engine on top, and if you look at the robot mode, that engine will form into a weapon. But not only that, you do have the flip-out cannon thing from the back that's formed from the wheels. So that's a pretty cool gimmick, and then also the visor does fold down, which I think is pretty awesome. Now, I did notice for the cannon that the mushroom cap for the wheel on one side is different than the other, so I'm wondering if that's supposed to support a blast effect. I'm not a big fan of how the legs are designed, especially when you look at the knees, it looks like it's going to be restricted. And then the tone of color for the yellow just doesn't really look right. It looks a little too light for me, but I think overall, I'm very happy that they're doing Hot Shot, and it's going to be nice when he comes with someone else in the line, and I think this is going to be perfect for that Armada Starscream coming soon, so that's going to be awesome. Alright, moving right along, we also have Leo Prime, so this is pretty awesome. We know that we're going to get a Nemesis Leo down the road, which is basically just a black repaint of this, and I think it looks alright. Yeah, he's got some robot kibble underneath, but it is a Voyager class toy, so it's not going to look 100% perfect. I think for the line mode, it looks fine, and if you flip out some of the weapons from the main, you can have a couple of cannons flip out, so I thought that was a kind of a nice touch. And I'm glad that they're going in this round, trying to get more of the obscure characters into the line. I think that's cool. I like the gold mane and the white fur. Just looks very nice. And then we take a look at the robot mode, and I think this is where it gets really exciting. He looks proper. I like the design of the chest. I think the head looks nice. You can see those blaster main weapons on the side, and then you can also see, I believe there's more hanging off of the head, so you still got more of those weapons. It's definitely very Ghibli, but if you look at the original character, I believe it's supposed to be Ghibli. But I don't think they do a pretty bad job here. And I'm pretty excited for this toy, but I'm more excited for the next one. Tarn! We finally get a Generations Tarn. This has been something that people have been asking for a while. And he looks proper. He looks like he's coming from the IDW comics. And the tank mode looks fine. I know a lot of people who are more excited about the tank mode than myself. It just looks kind of broken up to me personally. But it looks fine. You know, it looks devastating. You got the 2 cannons on the top and then the smaller cannons down there. I definitely like the scoop at the front there. It's just very Decepticon-esque, and I like that. But taking a look at the robot mode, this is where it all comes together. Now, a cool thing about the weapons is that you can configure them in different ways. You can have them hold the cannon, or you can have them have an extended cannon, so I thought that was pretty cool. And yes, you can have them in this kneeling pose. They keep posing him in that, so I thought that was pretty cool. But the design looks good. The Decepticon face is nice. The treads on the shoulders look good. He does look kind of small in some of the images, but I'm not sure. I don't have him in hand, so I can't really say for sure. That's just kind of a concern. But otherwise, I'm still super excited about this guy. He's just awesome, and I can't wait to have him. And then last but not least, I want to point out the poster. So again, I point out the bike transformers for the Junkions. You could also see a car on the side there. On the far back in the image, you could also see the ground bridge from Transformers Animated, so I thought that was pretty cool. You can see more Insecticons, so Kickback is not going to be the only one. You can see Shrapnel and Bombshell in the back there. A lot of people are pointing to the other Insecticons behind them, and they could be other Insecticons, or they could just be more Kickback, Shrapnel, and Bombshell, if you know the context of the show. And, you know, there's a couple of other things. There's Crosscut in the image there. There's Swoop, so that's pretty cool. And I think the most exciting part about this image that a lot of people were curious about is the Armada Optimus Prime sitting at the very top there. Now, for those who don't know, in a Japanese convention, they revealed that they were planning to do an Armada Optimus Prime, but we didn't hear anything about it for years afterwards. We just heard that there were plans for it, and we did get to see this kind of toy prototype for that, but to give context on what that is, that's not meant to be the toy to be released. I don't even think it was meant to transform at that point. It was just kind of a placeholder thing for the idea of the Armada Optimus Prime. Kind of like when you see the Studio Series Devastator in some of the box art and promotion, and then you also saw the prototype early on. That wasn't a transformable thing. That was just a prototype to get the idea out there that this is a thing that they plan and hopefully will do. So it was kind of the same thing with Armada Optimus Prime, but people got concerned after, you know, not hearing about it for a while. And I thought, okay, with Legacy doing Armada and Unicron Trilogy type stuff, I feel like this would be the perfect time to finally do it, and it seems like that's going to be the case because he's right up there at the top. They would not put in Armada Optimus Prime on this promotional image if they weren't ready to produce him. I think he's going to be a Commander class, and I'm excited for that. So what do you guys think? Please comment below. Let me know. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and all those fun doodads. And we'll see you guys next time.
AllSpark TV. Now that's just prime.